Well, good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. A caravan of more than 1,000 Central Americans, men, women, and children, is traveling across Mexico tonight. Mexican authorities are speeding them toward their destination, which is our country, our southern border. These are not refugees. They are border jumpers. They have no legal right to come here. And that's about the sum total of what we know about them at this point. We don't know if they have skills that we need, whether they speak English, whether they're gang members. We know nothing. Here's what they know about us. They know that if they can cross the border into California, they're set. Democratic politicians in that state will shelter them and give them benefits. From California, they can go anywhere in this country, just like millions and millions before them over the past 30 years. If you're wondering why America is not anything like the country you grew up in, this is why. Will anyone in power do anything to protect America this time? Or will leaders sit passively back as the invasion continues? Over the weekend and earlier today, the president sent a series of tweets that seemed to reflect frustration. Quote, "Act now, Congress," he tweeted at one point. "Our country is being stolen." Well, to that, official Washington scoffed. How dare the leader of our country pretend that we have the right to determine who comes here? What a racist. Here's Jim Sciutto, a former Obama political appointee who now poses as a journalist over at CNN. Watch.
As often happens with issues like this, we enter a fact-free zone. I mean, you got to fact-check the president on this. I mean, first of all, you heard that Fox News rhetoric, an army of migrants. I mean, it's not an army, it's a caravan. It's a group of folks who are seeking asylum. The president tweeted there are caravans, as if there are multiple groups of people kind of storming the border. That's not true. It's one group.
Just a group of folks seeking asylum, or propaganda from the Obama people pretending to be reporters. Shut up, America. That's the message. You have no right to complain. That's CNN's view, which means it's the left view as well. Is it America's view? Do voters agree? Do voters think that we have a moral obligation to admit every single person from around the world anytime who wants to come here, feed and house and educate them at our expense, even as our own middle class dies? Maybe voters do think that. I guess we'll find out in the midterm elections. This will help define those elections. Jessica Vaughn is Director of Policy of Studies, at the Center for Immigration Studies, and she joins us tonight. Jessica, thanks for coming on. So when the Obama guy over at CNN describes them as just a group of folks seeking asylum, where does that leave the United States? Does that mean that we can do nothing about this?
Well, if they're seeking asylum, what they should be doing is seeking it in the first safe country that they come to, which is Mexico in this case. But that's not what this is. This is a political stunt designed to challenge the United States and particularly the Trump administration. This is organized by activists. It's a walkathon for open borders. They know exactly what they're doing. They've recruited these people to join this group making their way to the United States. It's definitely a public relations stunt, and it's a challenge to our sovereignty, and the president needs to meet this challenge and not just carry on the way the Obama administration did and welcome them in. We don't need to accept their asylum applications. Heck, they're being trained on how to commit asylum fraud. So this is 1,000 people, but why wouldn't it be 100,000 people or 300,000 people? Why wouldn't it be the whole population of Salvador, the 2/3 that don't already live here? I mean, at some point that's going to happen because populations in poor countries are exploding. And what exactly is our recourse when that does happen? What do we do to prevent that from happening exactly? Well, that's why we have to prevent it from happening now. There's a reason this has been building to this point since the Obama administration essentially changed the rules on asylum, and since friendly judges stepped in and said you can't detain kids, they can be used as deportation shields. One thing we could do is prevent them from getting to the United States and do as we've done in the past and tell Mexico we want to come in and head this off before they get to our border. And, you know, we have a lot of leverage with Mexico, particularly on migration issues. It's not their job to control our border, but we can make it in their interest to help us prevent things like this from happening because, let's face it, Mexico gets a lot more out of our bilateral migration relationship than we do. So we need to use that leverage, maybe kind of tie it into NAFTA if we have to. But we don't need to just sit back and stand by while people take advantage of our lack of a secure border.
Right, so
it may
60,000
become an
Americans
emergency.
died last year from drug ODs, and most of those drugs came from Mexico. So they're a hostile country. They're abetting the movement of these people here. Would it be possible to send the military to our border? I mean, why is this not, honestly, why is this not a hostile act against our country?
It is. I mean, it certainly should be taken that way. We could invoke emergency. Declare that this is an immigration emergency that requires extraordinary measures. The federal government has a plan for how to deal with a mass migration emergency. We've done it before, say when the Haitian boat people came, we sent the Coast Guard out to intercept them. There are tools and authorities that the president has that can be brought to bear here, perhaps even work with the state of Texas, depending on where they decide to try to make landfall in the United States. We can move money around. There are authorities we can take advantage of, and we can use our leverage with Mexico. We don't have to just sit back and wait for them to arrive.
Well, somebody better be thinking this through right now, because this is imminent. Jessica, thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Glad to be with you.
Enrique Morones is the founder of Border Angels, a pro-immigration group, and he joins us. Enrique, thanks for coming on.
Hey, Tucker.
So I understand that you're for more immigration into the country, but I can't imagine you would support people walking across Mexico and just showing up, expecting to be let in. If that were to happen a lot, we would no longer be a country. So what should we do with these people?
Well, Mexico is not a hostile nation like you mentioned earlier.
Of course it is.
And the people that are coming from, no, of course it isn't. And the fact that these people that are coming from Central America is the same thing that's been going on since Reagan interfered in the Central American policies in the late 70s and 80s. These are people that are escaping violence, escaping hunger. They're looking for refuge, and they're trying to come into the country. And when you have a Border Patrol spokesman like Chris Harris encouraging them to come, telling them, just show up at the border and say asylum, and you're going to get in, that's a lie. That's not the way it works. And it causes these people to flee. They're crossing. They think they're going to be able to get in. Most will not be getting in.
But I'm not really sure why I don't know why you would feel an obligation to defend the government of Mexico, which is abetting illegal immigration into our country, which has been literally for years, which has trained people explicitly with documents that we have on how to get into this country illegally. I don't know why you would be flacking for them. I don't know what's in it for you exactly, but let's stop lying about it. Mexico could stop this right now. Mexico is a very long country. It's a long way from Honduras to Tijuana. They could stop this, but they're not. This is an act of hostility.
The thing is that we allow the freedom of people to be able to travel freely within the country, as a lot of countries do in the world. And I will defend Mexico because you're lying. Why don't you show me a document where the Mexican government is training people, like you just said, to cross into the United States? The Mexican government isn't doing that. Are there people doing that? There may be.
Really? Because they were giving that, you know. I'm sorry. I win with superior knowledge here. The Mexican,
superior arrogance.
Of course it is.
I know you're from San Diego, and your racism and ignorance is very well known.
Right? Okay.
Yeah,
look,
La Jolla Country Day,
the Mexican government has given instructions to people. I've seen them with my own eyes on how to get across the border. But the point is, this group of people could be stopped any time by the Mexican government, which, again, you feel the need to make apologies for, but they detain people all the time in their country from Central America, as you know. But they're not detaining these people because they say they're going to El Norte. So they're a hostile power. But why should we have to accept anybody who comes here?
Most people aren't coming to the United States. Most undocumented people go elsewhere. They have no desire to come here. Of the 250 million undocumented people in the world today, the United States has 11 million. And that flow has shifted dramatically, dropped 40% in the last 5.5 years.
But why should we take any? No, but you're missing it. Why should we take any? There are a lot of people who want to come here legally.
Yeah, but there's no way for these people to come in legally. And the United States interfering in these countries, the demand for the drugs, invading a sovereign land like Iraq, or interfering in the civil wars of Central America, that causes people to flee. The U.S. should be more welcoming.
So
and
our sins are the reason this is. So you hate America, is what you're saying. I don't know why. Actually, it's interesting. You're blaming America for illegal immigration into America. People
Central
come
America
here.
Is part of America. Central America is part of America. Mexico is part of America.
The United States is a separate country. It's not the same as Honduras, actually. One-third of all Salvadoran citizens already live in the United States. So at what point can we say we've atoned for our sins in El Salvador?
Stop
two-thirds have to
interfering
live here?
in the policies of other countries. Stop taking their natural resources. Stop invading sovereign lands. You have a president.
Are we taking
who's
the natural resources of Honduras
Donald
right
Trump,
now?
Remember Donald Trump? I mean, that guy, I mean, he's an embarrassment to the world. He says they're coming for DACA. DACA ended in 2000. People had to have been here by 2012. Donald Trump doesn't know what he's talking about.
Let me ask you. I'm not asking you your opinions on Trump. I'm not interested. I'm asking you about the policies hold on. The policies that affect all of us as Americans. And you're saying that Hondurans have a right to come here because we take the natural resources of Honduras somehow? Can you be a lot more specific?
Absolutely. The invasion of the United States of sovereign lands, whether it was the interference in Central America with the Reagan administration.
What do we do to Hondurans?
Well, have you heard of Iran-Contra? Have you heard of the fact that the United States is the #1 consumer of natural resources from other countries? The #1 consumer
in
of illegal
Honduras?
drugs?
So these people are coming here to punish us for bad things we did in Honduras?
No.
Are you representative of people on the left? Is everybody this dumb?
The United States has a
what
large
are you talking about?
responsibility. And when they invade sovereign lands, when they take from sovereign lands, they should be a more welcoming nation, and they are not.
But
there's no legal way for the
way?
people to come
Okay.
in. They're
All right,
desperate. People are crossing
I just want to have a rational,
all over the world.
I just want to have a rational conversation.
They should be able. Yes,
Nobody
we
on the
should
left
have one.
does. All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
we should have a
Get
rational.
back to me when you can explain what we did to Honduras to deserve this. Thanks.